All right, here we go. All right, so everybody got a sheet. So last week you had Rabbi Avi, and talked about sort of our intro to tzedakah and chesed. Okay, it's obviously a big topic. I couldn't expect Rabbi Avi to cover all the material in 1 hour. The totality of the issue of tzedakah and chesed. So, but let me just ask you a simple question: what is tzedakah and what is chesed? Let's start with the basics. What was your walkaway? Yes, Kim.
Tzedakah is giving. The way I think of it is like giving what you're supposed to, and chesed is going above and beyond.
That is 100% correct. It is. I would just add a little tad to it. It is tzedakah. That's why the word tzedek means righteousness. Is giving the person their due.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic due is their food, their clothing, their basic material and psychological needs. Chesed is going beyond that. So that's why, for example, last week you learned with Rabbi Avi, you learned about the topic of, visiting, comforting the mourners. It's an addition. That's a chesed. That's an additional psychological harm. Bika cholim, visiting the ill, rejoicing the bride and groom. That's an additional. That's what they call gimilut chasadim begufo. It's doing chesed directly, direct practice. Okay, excellent. So you get an A for that, there, Kim. All right. So, but one thing which is going to be a little bit shocking, we're going to take a look at this halacha. Let's take a look at halacha 1. Then we're going to go circle back and we'll discuss a little bit about the homework or our chesed project in general. What is the? Who'd like to read, please? The Ram gets to the board. Who'd like to read? All right, Evan.
In every city where Jews live, they're obligated to appoint faithful men of renown as trustees, kavayim, of the charitable fund. They should circulate among the people from Friday to Friday and take each person what is appropriate for him to give and an assessment made upon him. Then they allocate the money from Friday to Friday, giving each poor person sufficient food for 7 days. This is called like
Okay, so in every Jewish community, always had, we would call this in American parlance, a food pantry, soup kitchen kind of place. But what is unique here, as I wrote here, question number 1 is, why is there a Gabbai Tzedakah, and why does he need to use the power of basin to take monies? Yeah, Jude.
How does he know what's appropriate for each person?
They're making an assessment. It's in the same way that the same way that the IRS does.
Yeah.
In other words, what is in the Torah society, tzedakah is not left to a person's whim. Okay, because it is something which is a person could be proactive and give what is due, and some people need a little help. Let me tell you a story. My father started a yeshiva in Seattle, Washington. The North Ocean High School back in the 70s, which was like a foreign idea. Jewish education beyond 8th grade was like, what? So, because all Jews, even if they were Orthodox, after 8th grade went to public school. And that was the norm until the 70s. My father said that, we do that, we're going to have, without serious Jewish education into high school, by and large, we're not going to see these Jews anymore. They're going to be lost in the Jewish community. So anyway, so he's reaching out he's meeting with a wealthy person, and the person says, I want to give, I can't do it. Here is the wallet. Take the money out of the wallet. He could not emotionally open he couldn't do it himself. He had to literally take the money out, or he knew intellectually you're going to do it. It was the right decision, but the challenge was so great, he needed my father to take the money out of the wallet. Okay, that's an extreme case. But the bottom line is, in the world of fundraising, which I've been involved in the last 20 years, there's a nice phrase. People divorce their wives, they do not divorce their mind. What do you see from that? What do you see from that principle?
Harder for them to leave their money.
That's right. The narcissistic bond between oneself and their money is very tight. Because money is an extension of basically what is money? It's a liquid power. Right. It's their capacity to act. And therefore, to give of that, often for some people feel like you're asking them for the kidney.
Rabbi,
Yes.
with due respect, I think there's a custom like amongst like sort of Hindu type people, like,
Yep.
like the Buddha and Siddhartha, you know, to sort of walk away from like sort of non-attachment to goods, to walk away from everything you have. And I
Okay.
don't know if that's a Jewish idea, but
No, we would reject that idea
but to
as being not as being an idea of not of. In other words, that's assuming a person's like an angel. That's not realistic. The realistic is what's the max amount of tzedakah and chesed a person is obligated to give of their net worth?
What's like
20%.
20%?
20% max. The maximum. You cannot. In other words, you're not allowed to give more than 20% of your net worth for gift, unless you are in one category called an usher muflog. You're like crazy wealthy. You're a billionaire, so if you give 20%, you still have enough for the next 10 generations anyway. So you give $100 million, it's not going to make a difference. But for the regular person, the regular, say, middle class, or you're not middle class, it's forbidden to give that. The main concept is, number one, you want to give away because then you're going to, instead of helping the poor or helping Jewish communal efforts, you're basically making yourself a poor person.
yes, but I think what I learned in yoga is that by being non-attached to your things, you sort of realize what's important. And so by getting rid of all your property and your house and your swimming pool, in a way, it can give you a lot back.
Okay, so there is, so I would say that Judaism agrees with that to have a not deep attachment to your material world things. That's a good, but it's also not realistic. That's not a person. You know what I'm saying? Most people are not going to, right. Moshe Rabbeinu, being the ultimate Jew, did not care if he had a 20 in his pocket or $200 in his pocket or $2,000 in his pocket. It didn't really, the material well-being did not really make a principal difference, other than if you can make sure you can maintain sound. You know what I'm saying? But that's a rare. That's not a level that a normal person could ascribe to. What most people struggle with is to do any tzedakah and any chesed. That's the world that we live in. You know what I mean? It's very hard.
I'm just saying that some people divorce their wives, but some people do sometimes part of their money. So it's not common, but it does happen.
Okay, so fine. So but this is a very good principle about Judaism. Judaism is designed for the average person, not for the exceptional philosopher. Like
the Brahmin.
Well, whatever, the Brahmin or the philosopher king, whatever you want to view as the ideal, whatever your idea of the ideal is. That's not the it's a way to develop somebody, but Jesus asked people to give up all their money, so that's not a Jewish idea.
Can you touch upon this piece about there being trustees?
Yes.
So was there a concern that unless you sort of designated someone and made them responsible for this, that people might not be so honest with this? They might.
Yes, in fact, well, okay. So there's all these rules. When there's money collected, when the money is collected, it has to be 2 gabayim. Why is that?
Prevent abuse.
Yeah, self-dealing. Taking the money, one for me, and one for you. One for the house, and what I mean? Yes, the possibility, you always want to have checks and balances. The entire Jewish concept of Jewish government always has checks and balances. There's a Jewish king, but he can't do whatever he wants. There's a Sanhedrin, he can't do whatever he wants. There's a whole checks and balances thing. But what is unique about here? Why is there why is there a gabbai tzedakah? Why does it be a gabbai tzedakah? Why does it be a trustee?
Just because we're not saying people aren't going to be good on that.
Right. You need somebody who is the point person, who is in charge, to make sure that the poor of your community are not left without food. If it's not given not going to the best, most responsible, capable person in your community to do this, then it's not going to get done. That's why, by the way, that's why when we asked, I didn't say a tzedakah project for homework, because that's not really a job for an individual. You can do an act of tzedakah. You can't run unless you're going to be a gabbai tzedakah. A chesed project you can do. A tzedakah project means that's really a communal role, really. You know what I'm saying? The way it's translated, people, and I'm aware, in most Jewish communities or well-developed Jewish communities, that role typically falls upon a rabbi. And how it's expressed now is called, for example, let's take the Jewish Center right now.
Yeah.
So they call it the rabbi's discretionary fund, or they sometimes have a fancy name, the Rabbi Leo Young discretionary, whatever. But every shul rabbi has a discretionary fund of whose job is to do this. I live in West Hempstead. It's a little bit more developed community. You know, Manhattan's very developed. I'm just saying, as a little sort of a autonomous community. So they have their own food pantry where you go in and they have a light system, you know, the light. So if the light is on, somebody else is there. You don't go in. So you allow the dignity of the person. So they have at the main kosher store in town, IND Block. They have a basket where you put food in. They do a drive for the raising the money. Plus the various, there are 4 synagogues, rabbis make sure so there's fridges you can get. So the person can live, if a person's having food challenges, they can get the food they need with dignity. Typically the profile, who has these problems? Classic situation, you have a couple, a husband loses a job, the wife is only working part-time, and then you can go into a real, you know, traumatic downturn by that happening. Or a person's divorced and they don't have resources or whatever, having issues fighting, you know, these are the classic, it's called modern day, who needs tzedakah nowadays? That's a classic circumstance where people in the Jewish community, and you will not know them, but they do need. And there's, so that's the point. So I want to give you, so number one, it has to be done by a professional, should be done by people who are entrusted by the community, not necessarily one. 2, the key thing we don't have nowadays, we don't have the power of a basin to take money. Because the thing is that, what is the average American's charitable, how much money does the average American give to charity a year? Anyone know?
-2%.
Can't be negative. You can't give less than negative.
5%?
It is less than 2%. It is less than 2%. Less than 2%.
Is this pre-tax?
Everything's always pre-tax, right?
Even if they give it, okay, I don't know, but the key point is it's in the very small single digits. So whatever you want to say. So other than religious people, religious Christians and Jews, who are more or much higher, the average people are not. They view tzedakah. What is the conception of tzedakah in the world?
Nice to
Right. It's a benevolent gesture.
have.
Right. In the world of Judaism, it's not a big deal. It's your responsibility to your fellow man. It's completely weighted. And I'll give you the ultimate metaphor, the way to think of it. This is from Rabbeinu Yonah. He expressed like this: God gives you money. You are the trustee. You can keep some of that money, but you have responsibility to the people who are around you that are in need. If you take care of those people around you, then you can keep the rest. It's a way different vision of seeing your money. In other words, it's not your money. You have rights to it, provided you take care of the people who are immediately. Okay? That's the basic point. Yes, question?
My question is, when Maimonides wrote this,
Yes.
did they have taxes back then, in addition to?
Yes. So of course taxes are omnipresent. So typically Jews, when Ram wrote this in, he was living in. This is from the Gemara, obviously. Ram in the Mishnah Torah, he's condensing the final decisions of the Talmud, either the Babylonian or the Jerusalem Talmud. Okay, but basically, Jews lived in all the lands. So if you were a Jew living in Egypt, guess what you paid? You had to pay the Sultan, the king of which was after there was no Pharoah anymore, but you had to pay taxes. That's and actually you're obligated to do that. That's called Dina de Balchusa Dina. The law of the land is the law, and therefore the king or the has the right for taxation. We as Jews have to pay. So that's the deal. I don't want to get so much involved in that. Okay. Now, for people who have the assignment, who did the assignment about creating a chesed project, how does this? So I wanted you guys to first write, and I got great responses from everybody. And then how does to evolve our concept of tzedakah now chesed to? You understand now with this background to reformulate your chesed project. You know what I'm saying? In other words, already. So therefore, what if you're doing chesed? What should be some of the criteria that you think about?
Meaning basic needs.
Well, chesed is not basic needs. That's tzedakah.
Right, it's going above. So you should think about the basic needs and then try and go above that.
Okay, that's one factor. What else? What is also clear in this from this first halacha?
To establish somebody who's going to.
Oh, you want people in charge to make sure this follow through, correct?
To establish a need.
Well, there's no, the need has, you don't establish it, the need has to be present. You're addressing a need.
Meaning, how do we ascertain who's good?
Okay, that's a legitimate point. I'm not just dealing with only the issue of the poor here, which would be tzedakah, but also it has to be local. In other words, you think global, you think about the totality of mankind, but you act local. In other words, the natural thing is there's a tendency in all people to get into sort of like, I'm going to do a grandiose gesture. I'm going to solve the problem in Darfur. I'm going to go off to East Africa to deal with the problem of Ebola. Those are important things. But Jew says, slow down there, Scampy. We are oftentimes ignoring the tzedakah and chesed needs literally within your own face. What is a priority? Who's first in line? Both for tzedakah and chesed.
Immediate family.
Your immediate family.
That's actually
So let me just pause on that. Let me give you real life, because part of our, I promise everybody we're going to have hands-on, meaty, direct things, practical things. Your brother, your sister loses a job. Okay? Now there's an art to do this because you have to keep their dignity in mind. In other words, to ensure their needs, they'll be embarrassed. Don't ask your brother. It can be an act of humiliation. There's a ways to solve. So I can go to but that's the first thought. Next thought. Who's after that? Your community. Your immediate community. Next.
Well, is it Jewish community or your
First
community?
Jews. We got to take. You guys learned what you got through the thing. We got to take care of the non-Jews as well. You guys did that last week. You got through that.
No.
You get up to that part? It was in the handout. I guess we didn't get all of it.
It's been a
There's only like 5 pages. I don't know why I could get on that, Rabbi Avi. So yes, we're going to get to them. Who's next? A Jewish community in other towns. Many people say that Israel, the needs of Israel, will take a number 2 slot. 3 slot would be other Jewish communities. Like, hey, somebody in Baltimore needs bone marrow. Let's go down and let's get self-tested and make sure we can get bone marrow. That'll be it. Then after that is and also non-Jews. And it's key thing. I guess you didn't cover that. What is the obligation of? Where does the obligation to give chesed to your fellow Jews stem from? What classic mitzvah does it stem from?
Oh, leaving the field, the corners.
That's a specific obligation of tzedakah. What? Exactly. Very good. She's all right. She's 2 for 2. She's bad 1,000. All right. V'hadarech kamocha is correct. And she's raising a young child on top of that.
Right here.
All right. No, that's the bottom line. So v'hadarech kamocha. But the rabbis came along and created structures for that. They created, instead of just doing random acts of kindness, says this is the parameters of visiting the ill. This is the parameters of comforting the mourners. This is the parameters of rejoicing bride and groom. This is the parameters. They created halachic structure. So it's a rabbinic obligation to do these things. But when you do that, you fulfill the general biblical mitzvah of v'hadarech kamocha. You should love your fellow Jew yourself. You help let's say you help a non-Jew. Is that helping your fellow hadarech kamocha? No, it's a much more broader concept. It was in your handout last week. The Ram quotes the pasuk, says Darkei Shalom, it's the ways of peace. And what pasuk does he quote? What verse? The pasuk we say in Ashrei, Tov Hashem l'kol v'rachamav al kol masad. God is good to all, and He's compassionate to all of His creations. So therefore, you're acting in a godly manner, just as God has concern for all of humanity and all creatures. So therefore, in a certain sense, you're going to the more universal principle of acting in the ways of creating a harmonious civilization by acting in this manner. So therefore, it may be true the Jew has priority, but from the perspective of God, we're obligated from the perspective of shalom to be taking care of all humanity. The Ram makes very specific, even if he's an idolater. Not if he's a monotheistic Jew, a monotheistic non-Jew, he's what they call a ben Noach. You're obligated on a much higher level. But even if he's an idolater, okay, he believes in whatever the most ultimate pagan, okay, you still have an obligation because he's still a creation of Hashem, and you're still emulating God's ways of being compassionate on all creation.
Rodney, how do we know that
the Leviticus code specifically refers to Jews, like the translation is neighbor.
Right. L'reach areya. So the Ram actually quote. That's actually the Ram's excellent. It's an excellent point. So the he brings down from the reacha. He says, "Hata l'reach kamocha reacha beTorah u'mitzvos." Your brother in Torah and mitzvos. In other words, you share that he's not your universal brother. He's your particularistic brother.
So that was the Rambam's interpretation.
Well,
Is that like
that's the Talmudic. That is the oral law on that verse.
What does the Hebrew literally mean?
Reya means close friend.
It means close friend. Okay.
So that would be that would intimate already that it wouldn't mean your. The question is, people view it the other way. You should love your fellow. You'd think it only applied to the people that you identify with. People on your speed dial. But Reya means it needs to go on the category of people who are in the same class of people. Okay. If you see from context, it's still the unit to Jews. If you look at it, there's only 3 words of the verse, but all the things we're talking about, Amecha, your nation, Achicha, your brother, that term is throughout. Just even if you even leaving the oral law alone, but just by context, you know that's referring to just Jews. Okay. All right, so that's just sort of a summary. Everybody got that? That's a big picture. Let's move on to let's read to point number 3. If you would like to read that, Justin. Before I go on, so therefore, practically, this Sunday, I know Rabbi Avi challenged everybody as the senior fellowship leadership. I underscore leadership. The goal here is to be able to bring a friend. Our goal is that MG has to, in order to justify the New York Blood Center coming, we have to promise them 70 pints of blood. If they don't get it, I have to get 5. So please come back. So we want to go to 100. So if an act of now, let me talk about the multi-level of chesed on this part. Is first of all,
This is not.
this could be well. That's a very good question, Larry. Before I answer, what do you guys say? Is giving blood an act of tzedek, tzedakah, or chesed? Why?
Not financial.
But food tzedakah could be food.
Right. So the thing is, I feel like chesed is different than tzedakah.
If you are dying and you need an infusion, that's a basic need.
Yeah.
It's something you're doing
It's not
personally.
something every buddy needs at all times.
But there's other ways you can go about in terms of helping someone. Even if you're not able to donate blood, you can still say contribute money to whatever.
Okay, I understand. I understand
Helping someone write a paper,
but I don't know.
It's giving them money to buy paper is tzedakah. There's a difference. One is a financial act, and one is of your personal service.
Is tzedakah limited to giving cash?
No.
No.
Helping them
Giving
get a
people
job.
Giving blood
A
is
house.
also-
right. Give them so first of all, food, clothing.
So,
By the way,
I understand
you know what
that.
also viewed as tzedakah? Getting somebody married, if they can. Yeah, because it's a basic need.
Okay, so
Being married is basic need.
you mean like paying for something?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, let's say you have a couple. No, let's say a couple that can't afford to get married. They can't get. They can't afford to pay a thing. Or you facilitate. I can't afford to be married. Whatever.
So we're
There-
not talking about just marrying off.
That's a challenge.
I'm not picking that bait there. All right. I'm not going there, guys. Yeah, nice try, Justin. So what do you guys say? So a blood drive. So the bottom line is, go ahead.
No, like when you give money or food, you're not really giving of yourself. I mean, you're giving of your
Resources.
possessions, but blood is actually giving of yourself. So
Okay.
it's different. It's like a step higher than just giving money. Because
Okay.
money is more of a
So it's a-
tangible.
So you don't need your blood though.
Some people do. But,
Well, the question is a person who needs blood, are they? It's an interesting question. The person who needs blood is that's considered? I mean, obviously it's a core need. If you don't have, you're not going to be able to do the operation without getting an infusion of blood. That's a core need. That might be tzedakah. Now, I don't know who is going to in general. So it goes to the blood bank and they're going to divide it out. It's really allowing the blood bank to have the resources to give to the hospitals. Right. So it's sort of ensuring. No, it might not. It's not dealing with a need. It's sort of dealing with an indirect need. Now, let me just a couple facts here. One, the Jewish community of New York represents 25% of the population here. So the bottom line is that we as Jewish people, we are certainly taken from that, and certainly we should be viewed as being equally as contributors. It's bad to be that one person just leeching out the others. That's number one. And you should always be viewed as doing not just sharing, but the burden, but acting in a positive leadership way in that way. That's a big Kiddush Hashem, showing what our mission to the world is. So yeah, it's an act of chesed. It might be an act of tzedakah. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I got to think about it some more. But the bottom line is that generally, I've been getting information from the New York Blood Bank. They are around this time they're low. Bank is low. They need blood. Right. 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 So first of all, we're having a special program. By the way, you can get more information in your email. We're having a class with the Sofer. So come for that. That's part of our non-formal education. We're going to have that together with the fellows. A and B is come get blood, and 3, post it on your web, Facebook, and stuff people. It's that practical. And chesed. Yeah. Yes. Correct. And so the blood drive is from 10 to 3, and our class at noon. Sunday. This Sunday. You do make an appointment if you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You can.
Is it like noon to 1?
What? Yeah, a little less than that. Yeah, maybe 45 minutes.
You get blood done class.
He's done. Okay. All right, let's move on. Number 3. Justin, you were reading. I apologize. Go.
Why do we see in our society the opposite tendency? Instead of having leaders who promote the justice of proper distributing the pie so every citizen can live a fulfilling life, we have leaders whose greed is so great that they recklessly endanger the very life of the citizens.
Yeah, this is a amazingly egregious. Let's read the Toyota case, which is, by the way, this is not only Toyota. There's just tons of companies that do it all the time. Good.
Toyota Motor lied to regulators, Congress, and the public for years about the sudden acceleration of the vehicle. A deception that caused the world's largest automaker on Wednesday to be hit with a $1.2 billion Justice Department fine. Prosecutors say Toyota's efforts to conceal the problem and protect its corporate image led to a series of fatalities that could have been prevented. The settlement, which amounts to more than a third of Toyota's 2013 profit, is being called the largest criminal penalty imposed on a car company in U.S. history. Toyota says in the settlement that it misled Americans by making deceptive statements about safety problems that cause its vehicles to speed up uncontrollably. A stark condition for a company that has built its brand on safety and reliability.
Okay, so why they do that?
Money.
Just money? I mean,
Well, that's still money as a thing.
but where does that? I mean, first of all, ultimately it's stupid because eventually, when people are going to die by cars that suddenly accelerate without pressing on the accelerator, it's not. I mean, long term, it's not good for business. It's just, ultimately, it's like a dumb move. Would you like to buy your death trap here? Because Toyota had the vision of always being a very safe car. Now it's like, well, I'm not sure. But what is the principle that will allow them to do this and to cover it up? And then okay, fine, they get things. But by the way, nobody's going to jail. It's not so easy to prosecute in a large company because who said what? It's a white collar crime. It's very hard to get people into jail. What's happening here? What happened? What's going on here?
Why they did it?
Yeah, it's not just Toyota, but all companies that do.
To protect its corporate image.
It feels like it's also ego when people think they're invincible.
People are invincible. Why do they feel invincible?
I think another part of it is that people are pressured at work.
Okay.
So because responsibilities are collective a little bit in corporation, and I think like the particular attorney maybe who was hired by Toyota, like he's under pressure to sort of minimize.
Make this go away.
Right. So
Rosenthal, I want this to go away.
So that's part of it is like that,
Right. So it's right. So in a certain sense, there's not one person. So you sort of pushed off to this guy, pushed off to that guy. But there is a CEO. There are people who are the ultimate decision maker of why are they doing that. So greed, money. But what is the psychological? Those I think are results. What's causing that?
Shame.
What?
Like they're ashamed to admit it.
They're not, yeah.
Why they're ashamed? Everyone makes mistakes.
It's a culture. That sounds like Japanese culture. Actually.
I don't want to say I don't want to say that the Toyota is just these Japanese people. It's really, and GM did the same similar thing.
It's embarrassing to say that you get screwed up.
I messed up and other people and because that people died. Yes.
It's very embarrassing. But that's really embarrassing to your character.
Right.
You lose respect. You lose everything.
100% correct. 100% correct. There is the key thing here is that this personality, this which is expressed in the Toyota case and the GM case and countless others. Just read, New York Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. You'll see this on a weekly basis. So the personality in the Chumash that captures this whole mentality in the fullest, most robust way is Paro. It's a powerful personality. We're going to unpack Paro from the perspective of how Yecheskel, who's Yecheskel? Prophet. When does he live? He is living prior, during, and after the destruction of the first temple, 586 BCE. He's with the Jews. He is taken by the Babylonians, and he's taken to Babylon. Okay. Now he's asked to prophesy concerning Paro. So there's still Paros in that day. Who'd like to read from Yecheskel, chapter 29?
Okay. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, the 12th day of the month, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Pharaoh the king, and prophesy against him and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus said the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee.
Dad.
Behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh king of Egypt, the great fish that lies in the midst of the rivers, that has said, My river is mine own, and I made it, the Nile, or I made it.
Or I made myself. Or there's two ways you can translate. The Hebrew is so it says, he says something, Ani Amar li Yaori, the Yaor, the Nile is mine, the Ani Asitini, and I made myself, or I made it. So two possible ways of translating that. So what's up with that? So take a look over there. I drive we go to page 2 over here. So there's a classic commentator on the Radak, which all right. So he explains what's going on there. Gad, read that. No. Okay. Yes.
God said to Moses, on your way back to Egypt.
No. On page 2, on the other side of the page. Egypt is allegorized.
And Pharaoh the king is described as the great fish. The river is mine. The river provides water to me and my land to the degree that we do not need rain, and I do not need to import grain.
Good. So in other words, the Radak is asking the following question: When Paro declares, "The river is mine," what does he mean? So what? No. So because what did he do? Or he says, "I made it." So go into another. Now Radak brings two possibilities.
And I made it,
or I made myself.
I developed the Nile to irrigate my whole country, therefore it is mine. I made myself with my wisdom and understanding that I became a king. I am a self-made man.
Yes. All right. So let's break it down. I'm going to ask you 8 questions on this. In what way did Paro misunderstand the role of divine causality in the technical accomplishment of irrigation from the Nile? Or obviously during his time, he with his engineers and staff, what did he was able to do? To take the Nile River and make it to a capacity that was able to irrigate all the fields, all their grain fields, to the extent that that they have crops, they have tremendous food, and they don't need anybody.
I think it's kind of the same idea that if any of us are successful with our pranasa, we earn a living, that we assume that it's because of our hard work, it's because of our talents, our skills.
Okay, but is your hard work not involved in the result? Is your hard work not involved causally in your result in the result?
But
Yes,
we're
yes,
the
but you're
people
not-
who you employ. I mean, so if Pharoah could say, I employed, quote unquote, X number of people to be involved in creating the system, but
So
at the end of the day, he's not attributing
I'm trying to
it
push something. You misunderstood the role of divine causality. What is the divine causality involved in the Nile?
So he thought as Kosovo and Yadi, he didn't recognize that even though that he helped in doing something, that it really came from God.
But what does it mean it came from God?
I mean, God gave the resources, which he then used.
Yeah.
Exactly. Implicit in the Nile is the capacity to be developed into an awesome irrigation system. That he ignores. To me, to him, it was just like, there's this river, and I came to town, and boom, irrigation city. Right? He ignores that implicit in the phenomena is that he's able to bring out its latent potential. Who delivered that potential? That's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, the creator of the heaven and earth. Yes.
I think it's very dangerous when one culture or religion characterizes another culture's religion. You know, because you can always find funny things and say and make generalizations. I have a hard time to believe that Pharaoh really thought that. Like, I think that's what we Jews think Pharaoh thought that way, but I don't think he really.
Well, all right. So first of all,
I'm saying this is the Jewish point of view of the Egyptians. The Egyptians probably have their point of view for the Jews. I think it's very
so what you're saying is possible, but our goal is to understand is so let's limit the point. Our goal is to understand how is in other words, Yechezkel is trying to understand, or God is speaking to Yechezkel, what is the nature of the personality of Paro, and therefore we're going to see Paro, not the Paro in his time of the first temple time, but even the Paro that dominated the Jewish people as well. You know, the question is, and that's called a prototype. Now, there's two questions. Now, then I view your question as a second question. Is this prototype a reality that happened in time and space, or is it just a prototype that, and in fact, the Torah does not deny that, all of us have a little Paro in all of us. There's a little bit of Paro in all of us. Not limited, but he's a prototype of, in a very extreme way. Most of us do not have the position that you're going to be head of a corporation or head of a country. You're going to have the incapacity to feel the sense of awesome grandeur. Most people live small lives, and they don't. And there's a limit. There's a reality principle. If the guy is the manager at the pizza store, there's only so much how much grandiose feelings he can have without going psychotic. You know what I'm saying? But a person who actually is the head of a country or head of a multinational corporation, that level of, you can understand the psychological, let's call it a narcotic rush of that capacity of control is immense. And I'll go a step further, that you have to assume that if you were in the exact same situation, you would do the same thing. So I'm saying like this, if all of us, we have to be humble to say that if we are in Paro's position, we would most likely be Paros and not be Moshe. But what we want to understand is, what is the archetype of this personality? How is he involved in Jewish history? Because Paro and the Jews is a seminal point, and not only then, but even to this very day, the Paro personality is ever present. It is existing in all of us to a little bit, and certainly in who are true leaders in every way. So, what your point could be a true point, but I just want for our understanding is, we want to understand the Paro of Tanakh as an archetype of personalities in general, and then how much it is, only a Kadosh Baruch Hu can know. I can't know that. But
that's fair. Thank you.
Fair? Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's go on. Question number 2. How did Paro's sense of being the great fish, the self-made man, disconnect him from appreciation of Hashem's tzedakah? And what is Hashem's tzedakah? As a person?
Or as a person, or in terms of what is around you. Say the Nile River. Say, the people that elevate you. Whatever it is that.
Right.
Your environment.
100%. That's a very important point. In other words, we're trying to accomplish. We're going from with Rabbi Avi. You discuss human tzedakah. Now we're going to consider divine tzedakah. What's the difference? So divine tzedakah, as both Larry and Justin pointed out, consists of Hashem's wisdom of generously giving the resource, both wisdom and actual material resources to have a good existence. Latent to that existence is the fact that you can have a river that can be then a source of providing food for millions of people without rain. I mean, that's pretty cool if you think about it. Okay, so why did he view himself as a great fish? Big kahuna.
He doesn't acknowledge the kindnesses that God has bestowed upon him and believes that it's all of his doing. And he doesn't understand that there's a certain partnership in it all.
Or what proof does he have that he's right? He has a proof that he's right.
I'm the one who irrigated it. Before it wasn't irrigated, but I came along and we irrigated it, and here it is, and I did that.
Right. Right. That's it. The fact that his success is proof that he in fact is he's the big man on campus. He's the man. He's the big fish. In fact, that term is literally we use that term today. That thing is not moved. He's a big fish. Oh, he's a big fish. He's a big fish. Right. It has not changed since the time of Yechezkel. He's the big fish. The big fish. Sometimes he'll use it. He's a big fish in a small pond. We have variations of that. He's a big fish. All right. So in other words, here comes the concept. Are you the humble distributor of God's kindness, tzedakah, to the rest of society, to people, to give everybody a proper share? Or no, I am the creator, I am the deliverer of the goods. So he views himself, he's the deliverer of the goods. Now, how does he get buy-in from the other people? In order to be a leader, you have to be a leader of people. And this goes back to what you're saying about the corporations, where this is a corporate American, when done bad, is like a bad Mitzrayim. Because how does that work? How do you relate to the big fish guy, the CEO, Paul?
You suck up.
You suck up. Why?
So you don't want to lose your job.
Because right, so you don't want to lose your job because you all people crave security. You want to have a secure situation. And you view that guy as the guy who he has the power to hire and fire you. He can make your situation good or bad. So since he is a source of success, he's writing the checks. So you ascribe to him this hero kind of status, sort of a semi-divine quality. When a CEO walks into a multinational corporation, one of the companies that have like 100,000 people, like he walks into an office, he's visiting an office. How is it like?
He knows my name.
Right, exactly. First of all, it's like everybody's cleaning up. It's like it's like beyond like in-laws are. Everybody's cleaning up. You know what I mean? Everybody's all dressed up. The boss coming over, right? Everybody's all nervous. Right, exactly. Everybody's so because the bottom line, the big fish is coming, and you want because he is the benefactor of all of your security. That's it. You're exactly. You're throwing rose petals at his feet. Exactly. That's number one. Let's keep on going. Now, a question number 4. Why is there no Gabbai Tzedakah in the communities of Egypt, based upon this perspective?
I did everything myself, and there's no room for it.
What is there no room for? Let's say there's a person who was now down and out.
They're inferior, so there's no reason to help them.
Either you're worthy of the beneficence of Paro, or you're not. And if not, well, then you deserve not to get.
Yeah.
You deserve not to get.
And if there's an idea that kind of like what we have is kind of because of because of how much we deserve it, or because of how much we work for it, that promotes the idea that if you're poor, it's because you did something.
Right. Then you must be a loser. And the proof that you're a loser is because you're poor. Right. So
That's
here.
the mentality that's around the United States as well.
I understand that, correct, but that is not a Jewish concept. I'm just saying, because the Jews are trying to promote pushing the person out to what did let's go back, let me test you guys on it. What you guys did with Rabbi, I know you guys did this, so I walked in and you guys were doing this. The non-Jew comes to Hillel. The classic, this is on the top 10 Talmud quotes. This is on the top 10. Okay, he comes and I will convert to Judaism on condition he teaches me the entire Torah. Standing on one foot. All right, Shama gave him a kick in the pants. Okay, what the heck? Obviously he was he viewed as a degrading of the Torah because making sort of like a circus trick. So, don't let the door hit you too hard and tough on the way out. It's his mentality. And Hill said, what did he say? Come on, guys.
He said, all you need to know is
Do unto yourself as you do unto your neighbor.
Golden, yeah.
Do not do it.
And the rest is commentary.
Everyone done to yourself. The rest is
The rest is
Go learn.
commentary.
No, he said,
No, he's like,
that which is
Oh, yeah.
distasteful.
To you,
No,
that
he
which
has
you
a
don't
negative.
like being
Right,
done
that
to
which you do
yourself.
not like done to yourself, that which is distasteful to you,
Right.
don't
That's
do
it,
to
indeed.
others. The rest is commentary. Then the keyboard, what people often omit is
And then go
learn the rest of it. People who want to view Judaism as just purely a ethical law just slice off those last two words, which is, you know what I mean? That which is just given to you, don't do anything. Now, why is that the totality of the Torah? So how can you say that?
This is a good place to start. I think it embodies a certain morality to it that's unique to the Torah, and once you kind of have that, it's easier to take on the rest.
It is the most profound concept that person could possibly have at that particular point in time. It is the largest concept that the person who's coming outside Judaism can have, which is going beyond yourself. In other words, that you are not just the totality of the universe. You're not Pharoah. Everybody's the same. And he doesn't say positive. No, he doesn't say the mitzvah for Jews is that which you enjoy. You like to be given. You like people to be concerned about your well-being. Here is that which you don't like, don't do to others. He just asked them to do, just don't do the negative. In other words, if you don't like getting smacked in the face, don't smack others. You don't like getting your car busted into, don't bust it out. In other words, he had the first step because it's a developmental thing. That's the best thing for the care convert. And then he worked with them as time went on.
That's what Rabbi Avi said, saying easier to not do things as opposed to taking on more.
Correct. 100% correct. That's 100% correct. So that point being, in Mitzrayim, there is no universality of value. There is no tzelem elokim. You're either aligned with Paro, you're a company man, or you're out of the company. Either you're an ally or you're an enemy. And if you're not an ally, you're not getting help. And there's no Gabbai Tzedakah to help you out. Okay, moving right along. Number 5. All right. Is this text a good explanation of the idea of the divine right of kings? As they might know, this is your high school. Go back to your high school or college. What is the divine right of kings? For 400 points on the square.
It's they were given power by God.
And that in other words, not only are they happen to be the king, but that's actually what that is the divine destiny. They've been powered by God. So
and that's what our founding fathers fought against. To that separation of church and state.
Correct. Well, and not only that, no kings.
So
absolutely no kings.
No kings and no divine in power. Yes, question.
I was just gonna say, it seems like kind of Pharaoh's justification of his own status used different logic than the divine right of kings.
Well,
he was arguing basically, I did something, as opposed to
correct.
God gave me.
But then he goes a step further. And you know why he did how people do it? Because I'm divine. In other words, I'm a sort of idea. In other words, Paro. That's why when you're going to learn, I'm sure you've heard these. Who has heard the midrashim that says that? Why did Moshe, when he goes down to confront Paro at the first plague by the blood, where does he find Paro?
By the water going to the back.
On the river. Now it doesn't say well open, but the Medrash says that what was he there? He was secretly, covertly under the water, going to the bathroom before everybody with the staff was up. Why?
Oh, so they would know it was like you.
Because he's trying to get this cult of this aura of that he's different than everybody else. Regular people have to use the bathroom. He is beyond that. He's sort of this semi-divine figure. Right, exactly. Right. So that's what he's trying to foster, this sort of aura of that he's a divine being.
But wait a second, we have a disciple of sort of a disciple of Pharaoh, Moses. We lived in Pharaoh's court, who we think is not godly, but we think that he spoke to God more than any other person. So correct. We also have this idea that some people are closer to God than others.
No, but he's a view that he is a God. He's within the pantheon of God. So he is a God person, not a person who communicates to God. He actually has a godliness to him.
Does he say that explicitly?
When he says that by this statement, I made the river and I made myself. That supplies that he's outside the causal structure. He's a creator with a big C. You know what I mean?
Question: how do we not boil this down to just arrogance versus humility? Like, how does this not
Because
become a character trait thing?
that might be a broad stroke, and I think that is an accurate broad stroke. But in order to question, we have to, well, how does that mechanistically work? How does a person, even if he's feeling arrogant, somehow be able to control and run an entire civilization of Egypt, and not just any, but all the monarchies of the ancient world were all essentially the same. All had the same. That's why the divine right king was essentially going up even to the 1800s. It's not ancient history. It's like, and even to this very day, there's even in England where they view like the monarchy kind of stupid a little bit, but they love it though. There is still an attraction to viewing that there is one guy who is uniquely special and is the ultimate hero figure and is a source of good to us. I mean, that's why the monarchy, even though like logically in 2014, what do you need the British monarchy for? It's not going to go away. Not because
Many countries.
it's part of their identity, and there's an attraction to that. Because part of the attraction, part of the security, you're going to have somebody who is your address, who's going to take care of you, who's going to take care of you all, who's going to take care of you. I mean, in a certain sense, do you remember the first days of when Barack Obama was elected?
Yeah.
In other words, in addition to the fact that it was historic, the fact that you had a black president, which was great. But there was a sort of a sense that he was trying unsuccessfully to sort of deflate the expectation. People viewed him as literally the Melech HaMashiach. He's going to bring hope. He's going to bring change. And if you saw when he came out on the first night there was it wasn't simply a celebration. There was a palpable euphoria that literally he was something other, and he was really going to be an awesome force. Okay. Not so much now, but not get the same amount of response because reality sort of seems to have dealt with that. So that's the bottom line. Okay, so that's a key element. Number 6. In what way would the divine right system pave the way for enslaving the Jews? Oh, this is key. This is sort of we're turning the corner. We're going to go to Shmos. Why is divine right critical for enslaving the Jews? Why is that mentality vital to allow you to do that?
Sense of entitlement?
Yes, if you have a divine sense of entitlement, that allows you to look at these people who are, even though they were guests of the original administration, the other Pharoah, Jews were invited by Pharoah said to Yosef, his second command, bring your family down here. They were guests they were honored guests. And somehow turned around, what do they have? Slaves. So the bottom line is that you just how you turn the corner on that.
That's what you learn. Never volunteer for the government. But seriously, the progenitor never volunteer for government.
So it requires a sense of entitlement that whatever his need is by definition sanctioned by the gods. If he feels it, it is done. So therefore you can go from a royal guest to a royal slave in not that short in a rather short amount of time. All right, keep on asking. 7. What do you think would happen to the understanding of tzedakah among Jews in Mitzrayim? This is key.
They probably did not have a very good time.
Well, as time went on, what happened to them? Now remember, we just had this week's parsha of Vayera. You have the quintessential exemplar of Chesed, Avraham Avinu, running out to unknown Arab pagans. He goes to them, he bows to them, he says, "You're my servant, you're my master, I'm your servant. Can I get you a little bit?" And then give them a lot of stuff. Right? Ultimate chesed. He's the ultimate chesed guy, right? Chesed guy. So what happened then 400 years later? What do you think that happened? How long? What happened to that legacy as time went on?
Didn't they stuff like the Stockholm syndrome, where they got used to being enslaved, and actually when they were free, they were kind of like.
But what Stockholm syndrome assumes what assumption? What psychological mechanism? Fuels the Stockholm syndrome.
The power of
yeah, and therefore, in order, it's self-defense. But you identify with them. You identify with your captor as a sense of security. He's going to take care of me. He's not so bad. He's a really good guy, you know. He looks good in that. He looks good with that gun pointed in my head. So, so the bottom line is that as Jews are in Egypt, they start to absorb the culture. We throw out a question: what proof? What another classic element of Judaism did they lose? What classic expression of being is right? They stopped doing bris milah. Even nowadays, no matter how, which is remarkable, even nowadays, the percentage of Jews, even if they're very assimilated, they still have my kid will have a bris milah. So for it to go that's a huge level of acculturation on part of the Jews. Like it gives you a sense of where they're at. Moving on, and we lastly, in what way might the Machos restore a sense of divine causality and tzedakah to a society that fell into the great fish error? The Machos means the plagues. And I'd be understanding what
because then because God's demonstrating his power. So suddenly, I guess in a sense, it's like, you know what? That guy's stronger. I'm with that guy.
Right.
And you're going to listen to him, in which case he's God saying, okay, we're going to have a society of tzedakah. Okay, well, we're with you. You're the strongest person.
Right. So what the Machos are, Justin's 100% correct, is a systematic destruction, plague by plague, of educating both Jew and the Egyptians that the fact that the Paro is a big fish is a big illusion, and the fact that his sense of entitlement is really wickedness, and his behavior is evil, and that's why where is the first address of the plagues? The Nile River. What happens? It turns to blood. Not actually turns to the color of blood. It's not actually blood, but so therefore it shows that what? It shows his attacks his source of identity as being that he's a great leader of the Nile. But what is he really? He's completely emasculated.
Yeah, he doesn't know anymore.
Right. Not much of big fish. And that's why. What does it say happened to the fish in the Nile? Very key element there. They died, and what happened to all of Egypt? It was a great smell of rotting fish. And they could not drink water. They had to dig wells. So really impacted them from to reformulate that whole concept. All right. I'm gonna before getting to the next text and take it to 9:30, 9:40. We'll pick this up next week. All right, but you guys are really you guys did good tonight. You guys are all right picking it up. All right. So just a couple of things, quick review. So I look forward to seeing you guys all on Sunday morning. I might bring some of my
What time?
the blood drive is 10 to 3. The class is at 12. There's a whole lot of muffins and all kinds of chazarai and delicious coffee. Bring your friends. I like to show that the senior fellow leaders are in fact leaders. Bring people. Let's bring some, get some blood.
Literally.
That does not count. All right, so we'll continue this. You guys are very good tonight.